What does leadership mean to you, Daisy? It's a word we use a lot, right? But there's a million and one definitions of it. What does it mean to you in your world?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, this, because it's not one that I've really thought about a lot. Um, but one of the curious things about being an MP is that you don't have any budgets. So it's not like running a council or a business where you can just decide that you're going to spend money on something. You also don't really have any levers. You're not in charge of any organisations or departments, unless, of course, you're a minister. And so you can't compel anybody to do anything either by just making a decision. So everything you do as a member of parliament, you do through influence, not authority. And so a huge amount of the leadership that, if you want to show leadership on anything at all, it's basically done through influence and persuasion, and through either bridge building or by making an impression on somebody or inspiring people to action somehow. And that's really how we get most of our things done. There's a little bit of a joke amongst MPs that we only have one superpower, and our superpower is our letterhead of paper. And it's a very curious thing where, you can have a constituent, for example, who's having a really difficult time, maybe with a social housing provider, or maybe with a bank, or with a water company, or even a healthcare provider, whatever it might be, and they've been trying for weeks or months to get answers out of somebody. And as a member of parliament, you have no authority to compel anybody to respond to you, but you are there as their elected representative and you have a platform. So the question really is as a leader, how do you use your platform? And I always think, I always talk about having a pincer movement strategy. You always want to start by asking nicely, but with them knowing full well that if they don't sort of respond either promptly or in a way that is satisfactory, that they're in no doubt at all that you will then use your platform to call them out effectively. So yeah, I guess that's one part of it. The other curious thing about sort of a leadership position in politics is that you're having to show leadership to lots of different groups in different ways. So of course I have my parliamentary office, so I'm leading a team of people, staff who are responding to constituents on my behalf, and I have to show some sort of leadership in terms of how I want them to the tone in which they respond, give them permission to often close cases with particularly difficult people sometimes. And I always say I'm often I'll ask to sign off particularly difficult cases in order to protect them. So there's a kind of leadership role in making sure that your staff are protected when constituents are wanting to either get to you or to have a go at you or something like that. So that you've got your staff. But then we're also campaigners. We're campaigning in our community all the time. So you're leading your leadership figure amongst volunteers, and volunteers give their time freely. So they're not there that you can't compel them to turn up or to do anything, and they sort of buy into what you're trying to achieve. So that's something else. And then of course you have other leadership roles within our political party and amongst colleagues as well. So it's sort of lots of different sort of leadership hats that we wear as politicians, depending on whether we're talking to volunteers in our area, whether it's our staff or whether it's our parliamentary colleagues.